Yo, YouTube. By now you've heard about Ozzy and his passing, and I just want to make a quick video. It's not going to be very long. I don't really know what to say, like a lot of people already have. I'm one of the younger metalheads growing up. Um, Getting into metal 90, 91 by my brother, mostly like the, so-called hair metal, glam, hard rock, what's mostly on my channel. But at the same time, Ozzy was there for, my whole life. And really, Ozzy was the metal figure that was constantly in my life. TV, Ozfest, pro wrestling. As I'm making this video, Hulk Hogan also has died today. While I was never like a huge fan of his or his personality choices and personal life, but without Hogan, without Ozzy, legends in their own right. I mean, Ozzy was everywhere, and you know, you gotta love him because of how crazy his personality was and how he talked, and he was just a great guy from everything you heard and read about, and if you met him, same thing. Um, Getting back to when I got into metal, my late brother got me into all this Guns N' Roses, Cinderella, Poison, the works. Guns N' Roses being the band that really got me into music when they were the main thing around. The one of the first albums I've heard after the first few was No More Tears, Mom I'm Coming Home, Road to Nowhere, which I struggle with my mental issues, and I dedicate that song to me. And that's the album that really I listened to first with Ozzy because it was brand new at the time. And of course, through my dad's records, the radio, and right after that I got into Black Sabbath. This album here, I mean, the debut set the standard, but this just, well, the debut started it all, but this album, Paranoid, set the standard of metal. And Black Sabbath, just was a juggernaut that influenced so many bands. And to this day, aside with Judas Priest, it goes back and forth with me. I might like Priest discography as a whole better than Black Sabbath's, but either or, Black Sabbath was the band that started metal. Some might say Deep Purple, possibly parts of Deep Purple's heavy metal, harder rock sound, but it's definitely Black Sabbath. But with me, Priest and Sabbath and the rest, even including Maiden, influenced by Sabbath, even Priest was. But besides Sabbath, Priest was right there a few years later. Those are like the two bands in my metal life that pretty much set the standard for everything. And Metallica, all these big bands, Megadeth, anybody you can think of, even bands that weren't like similar metal style, like death metal, black metal, all these bands, they were influenced by Black Sabbath. And like I said, Ozzy was always around on my TV growing up and everywhere, on radio, me buying the records. I mean, he was just a fixture in our daily lives for the most part. Maybe not daily, but reoccurring. He was always around. And he had such a unique voice. It's just, there'll never be another person like Ozzy. All the crazy stuff like snorting ants, biting a head off bat on stage and everything. And it's just, it kind of hit me when he died. I knew it was coming, but damn, 2 weeks after the final show. And to give you an idea of how great Ozzy was as a person, he donated all that money to charities, $200 million almost. So, when I saw Tony Iommi's interview yesterday, or actually today, late last night today, he said he basically lived long enough just to do that show. He gave it all. It was his goodbye, and I think that was the case because he needed to do this final show to send it off to the fans, and that just goes to show how much he cared about his fans and just people in his life in general. And yeah, people make fun of Ozzy for his Sharon, he's stumbling, but he was just a cool guy. I would love to have met him. And I got to see him twice, once at Ozfest 2007 because it was a free show. I didn't go to many Ozfests because I'm picky as hell, and most of the bands on the bills, for the most part, I didn't really want to stay all damn day and watch. But saw him there. He was great. had Zach Wild on guitar, and then I had to see him their final tour, and I had to drive 5 hours plus to Indianapolis because they didn't come to Columbus or Pittsburgh naturally, and it was great just to see him on their final tour. I never got to see Bill play, but yeah, it was awesome. So that's how big of an influence he had in my life and most people's lives. And there's so many songs that and albums that of all the classic greatest albums of all time: Paranoid, Debut, Blizzard of Oz, No More Tears. I mean, you can name any of them. Diary of a Madman. They're all classics. And I did a Ozzy solo discography, and I did a Black Sabbath discography. I did a Never Say Die Out video. I could put them all at the end if you want to watch them. Yeah, like I said, they were just the band that had so much impact on everything. They were that sound that no one's heard. They were kind of like the Beatles, but of metal. You know how Beatles came in and everybody was like, holy shit, and it was this new sound. Same could be said with Black Sabbath. Maybe not on the biggest scale as the Beatles, because, you know, no one will ever sell that many records. I'm not a Beatles fan, but to each their own. But Sabbath was the Beatles of the metal record, or the metal world. So I just wanted to make a quick video. If you let me know if you've met him or if you had any experiences, what your experience was with Ozzy or Sabbath or anything. And yeah, the world lost a heavy metal icon, one of probably the most famous heavy metal icon, but definitely can't overlook Sabbath, like Tony and Geezer and Bill. They were amazing in their own right. And yeah, I just don't know what else I could say. He was definitely one and only, like Gene Simmons said in his interview he gave. There was never Ozzy before Ozzy. He never tried to emulate anyone. He did his own thing, and he was the only one of his kind. So the Prince of Darkness was really the only person, you know, like himself. He never tried to join trends or anything. He stayed relevant through the grunge era and everything else, and the world just, you know, just misses him so much. So see you on the other side, Ozzy. And as always, YouTube, thanks for watching. I'll put the videos here if you want to watch them. Maybe 2 of them. I'll see if I can put the 3rd one in there if there's enough room. So thanks for watching again. Rock on. And I have another video coming. I made it the day Ozzy died. It's just I haven't gotten up to posting it or getting it ready yet. So look forward to that. And the new Alice Cooper album, I might do a review on that. It's coming out tomorrow. Which I'm excited for because I've always wanted a new Alice Cooper group album. So, you know, Ozzy is right there. Alice Cooper's also right there as one among my favorites ever. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Thanks, YouTube. Peace.